Welcome to All Things Chiropractic.
Welcome to All Things Chiropractic. I'm Paul Andrews.
I'm Dr. Mark Davini. Welcome all.
Okay, what's the title of today's episode?
Oh, I have so many.
I bet you do.
But we'll start off with Quantum Leap.
That was a really good show.
That was a good show.
I think they're rebooting that, right?
Yeah, with different players.
It's never going to be good as good as the first
it's
one.
the second one. So yes, it's Quantum Leap or getting in tune with your patients.
Ooh. Okay. What does all this really actually mean? That's the big question.
What are they talking about?
Yeah.
You know?
Right. So, I don't know. What are we talking about?
We're talking about a whole new class of treatments that it's evolving and emerging as a primary source of treatments that a lot of us already use in one part or another, but it's called frequency therapies or frequency medicine.
So what does that mean? Use them frequently and build a crap out of them, or?
No, it has nothing to do with how many times you see a patient, though. It does add to that. It has everything to do with the vibrational concepts of frequencies, so wavelengths and things like that and how they affect your body. And you may look at it or may know or not know, but you use it in your office if you use an ultrasound, you use a shockwave, if you use a laser, if you use PEMF, if you use red light therapy. These are all frequencies found on the electromagnetic spectrum, going from as low as the vibration of the electricity in the plug in your wall, all the way up to gamma radiation beyond your visible spectrum light of reaching.
You mean like the Incredible Hulk? Like gamma?
The Incredible Hulk.
Yes.
You know? So we do. So all of that is electromagnetic radiation. All of that, and the only difference between the vibration or the electromagnetic frequency in the wall plug and gamma radiation has to do with frequency and amplitude. That's it. But they're all fundamentally the same physics, the same quantum physics.
Speaking of things like that, let's have Einstein set the stage, shall we?
Is he smart?
From what I heard, he can't do math, but he can pretty much do everything else. Simple math, anyway. Everything is energy, and that's all there is to it. Match the frequency of the reality you want, and you cannot help but get that reality. It can be no other way. This is not philosophy. This is physics.
So in my mind, somebody a lot smarter than us has already found this out and found it out many, many years ago. I'll even and give you one from one of my heroes, Nikola Tesla. If you want to find the secrets of the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration. These are people that way back had already found the power of frequency therapies.
So how do we measure frequency in our reality anyway? Like, what is the way we do that?
Well, we know that frequency is also vibration. It's also energy in whatever way you want. And it's expressed in the term frequency, which is the amount of times the wave happens per second. And that's measured in a unit called hertz.
Like the rental car?
No. In fact, if you thought Hertz was a rental car company, you are wavelengths off.
Ooh.
But no, Heinrich Hertz was the first to create a man-made frequency. He found the radio waves and started a whole path down this way. And since then, over the years, many, many different therapies have developed that use in one way or another frequency and amplitude. It's part of our everyday life. You're sitting in a room. If you have a light on, there's frequencies being poured on you.
We are being, whether it's therapeutic or not, it's an argument, but we are bombarded with frequencies on a daily basis now.
We're immersed in Wi-Fi. We're immersed in Bluetooth. We're immersed in radio waves. We're immersed in everything. And all of those things that we're immersed in are different frequencies of the same body class of energy, electromagnetic. So
where do you fall into these conspiracy theories? I'll term them that way only because I don't know enough about them, but that
Well,
like 5G is, this major health crisis, and they're ready to roll out 7G, and it's going to be the end of humanity.
right.
Do you know what I mean?
It does, and there is such a thing as
I think about it.
I do. It's called resonance. That your body resonates in a certain frequency, and that frequency comes from the magnetic field of the earth. And that is our frequency. We, as human beings, have a frequency.
That was studied with, I believe, the astronauts, right? Because they leave the magnetic field, and it does have health implications.
Absolutely. So when you think about this resonance, where we're used to things working under us, an environment of a certain frequency, and then we artificially change that environment. What does that mean? There was a study done that said, why are you so tired when you fly? I mean, essentially, all you do is sit down, sit down and get to the place you're going. You get to the other side and you're like totally fatigued. And there was some research that said that it really came from the fact that you were sitting between the two engines, the jet engines, which create a magnetic field, and they're opposing each other. And that magnetic field is less.
I'm being pulled apart? You're literally?
Pulled apart.
Energetically, anyway?
Yeah, energetically. And it slows your metabolism down because the frequency generated by those jet engines are less than the magnetic field frequency of the earth.
So
wait a minute,
our metabolism slowed down, but then they give us food and drink the whole time, and we're sitting the whole time.
Right. And you get tired.
Yeah.
Why? Even if you took a nap on the plane, you get off the plane and you go, I'm exhausted.
Yeah.
Because it slows your metabolism down. You have to get off the plane, get away from the engines running and sitting in between them and get back to the Earth's frequency again. This is the whole concept of grounding, that there are people that say you have to touch the Earth barefooted in order to discharge all the aberrant frequencies.
In massage, they've picked up on this whole like grounding your mattress, grounding your yoga mat, and massage. Now there's a whole like new type of massage, which includes grounding pads, grounding tables.
Yeah. I sleep with a grounding pad on my bed. I live in an apartment building. So
is that why you're so down to earth?
That's it. I have a grounding pad, and it's just a little 1 foot by 2 foot pad that plugs into the ground in a socket outlet, not the electrical, not the live, but actually the third prong plug, and it supposedly grounds me when I'm sleeping. My feet are touching it, and I'm discharging my negative energies, or we'll say.
I have to ask your wife if that's true.
She has one too. No.
Does it?
No.
Discharges?
No, don't go there. Don't go there. But no,
I want to know.
No. So that yes, I do have a grounding pad.
Yeah.
I have many vibrational therapy treatments for home use that I use every day.
Well, let's talk about a few of them because, some of them, as you said, many offices already are using them. Maybe they didn't know the general term that's emerged, frequency therapies. But some of these were interesting because they're new to me. So I figured, why not talk about them?
Yeah.
What do you want to talk about?
Anything that creates vibration, which is everything.
Which one do you want to talk about first?
Let's go through some of we'll say the funkier ones that you and I both don't probably have in our day-to-day existence. It's called riff frequency therapy, which is...
Is it riff or rife?
Rife. Could be rife, riff. Again.
It's rife with problems.
It's rife with problems and riff with energy. Royal Riff, or Rife, was the one who found it. And it's electromagnetic frequencies that actually target pathogens.
I like that idea.
When you look at your laser, you might have laser settings for bacteria or viruses. It might be a red light laser. It might be a blue light laser or a violet light laser. And those frequencies are specific to the pathogens.
I mean, don't they already do this with like kidney stones and stuff? Don't they bang it with sound to break them up or whatever?
Sound, shockwave, right? So we're talking about the shockwave types of therapy that existed before, or commonly, was exactly what you said, right?
Yeah.
But now we use it as a therapy for soft tissue injuries and soft tissue types of conditions. Shockwave is just another form. It's sound as opposed to hearing, or, the next one being like binaural beats, which would be those different sounds that you hear and what they do to you. And, let's caution everybody out there. There's good and bad frequencies. Now,
Yeah.
I may be showing my touchy-feely side, but not all frequencies are good when it comes to things like solfeggio types of frequencies and things like that. So you have to know the frequency you're using and what the effects of that frequency would be. So just because you're listening to, these tones that, they used to say, you want to meditate, just say the word Om. Well,
Sorry, I was just relaxing there for a second.
In transcendental meditation, they take this kind of concept and they go one step further and actually assign a couple of 2 to 3 nonsense syllables together that are supposed to resonate with your brain, not everybody's brain. And you're not ever allowed to tell anybody your mantra. But that mantra in transcendental meditation is specific, where something like Om is more general, and it may not be good for you. So just be cautious that way.
That's interesting, because some of the music I hear today, that would definitely not be good frequencies for my ears.
Absolutely. Classical music, right?
I love
music
classical
has
music.
nice they've done the studies, right?
Yeah.
Nice alpha waves that are the relaxing waves, the stress wave. And rock has delta waves.
Yeah.
Like, and when they want to torture you, right?
Or get you upbeat and get you going.
They do 2 things, right? They play rock music very loudly.
Well, that's what they did in some of these war zones and
that's
stuff.
That's what I'm saying. So the rock music creates the stress waves, the delta waves, and then the volume magnifies the effect of that type of music on your brain. It's torture, baby. It's torture.
Well, I mean, it just makes me think of music, and it makes me think of, have you ever watched a movie that has the dialogue but no music, and how different the experience is when there's no music behind it?
Music.
I mean, it's like eerie almost. It's really weird.
And I'm going to definitely show my age, because I feel the biggest problem with watching new movies today is they are so hell-bent on making sure we hear every background noise humanly possible. When everything is going on around you, you can barely hear the dialogue, as opposed to watching an old show where I actually could hear the dialogue and not worry about, piece of paper falling on the ground.
That might be a little bit of an age thing.
It is a definite age thing, Absolutely. All the old movies and shows were quiet.
Maybe because the technology wasn't so great to pick up sound, so they had to be quiet other than the person talking.
Yeah, but why do I need to hear somebody passing gas on TV? I don't get it, All
right, this episode's turning into something a little bit different. Let's steer back into the curve here.
It's all vibration, baby, all vibration.
So what are a few more of these interesting frequency therapies?
Well, we mentioned shockwave, we mentioned ultrasound, regular ultrasound. They're all different frequencies. And these are real. They're based in sound, not, you hear it. Or also, you're applying the sound waves to the body, which have their own effect, which we know and talk about. So yes, sound, they're common. A lot of people have shockwave. A lot of people have regular ultrasound. And think about the settings. You can have continuous, or you can have pulsed.
Yeah. I mean, people are, most of our listeners would
manipulating frequencies.
Yeah, they know about therapeutic ultrasound.
Yeah.
I'm curious about some of these, like tuning forks, right? So in massage, I mean, in my school, way back when, we were exposed to tuning fork therapy in our massage class. It was interesting.
The concept of resonance. If I can find a vibrational frequency that resonates with the tissue I'm trying to affect, I'm going to make a difference there. So that's why we say not every frequency is the best, and not every frequency helps, but you want to find ones that resonate. And so there's all that. That's what we're saying about the emerging science. They're finally starting to study not just the fact that they exist, but which ones work and which ones necessarily don't work. Here's an interesting thing. When you look at the spectrum of frequencies that are commonly used in lasers, there's like a dead zone between 700 and 800. It's a dead zone. Doesn't have any therapeutic effect. Everything below 700 has
On humans, you mean?
On humans, yeah. They've done studies. Most of the frequencies below 700 have an effect. Most above, 800 have an effect. But there's a dead zone between that 7 and 800. So if you were applying those frequencies to somebody, it would not have the effect that you were hoping for.
Or any effect at all, maybe.
Or any effect at all. And everybody says, oh, this is all new stuff. And it's like, nah, it isn't. You've lived with it your whole life. You had AM radios, amplitude modulation. You had FM radios, frequency modulation. You had TV, which is an FM band. Then all of a sudden you go up and have microwaves and radar ranges, continuing up the electromagnetic spectrum, infrared, everything that you don't see below the red spectrum. Then we have our visible spectrum, Roy G. Biv, right? Red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, and violet. We can see those colors, but when we
most of us can.
Most of us, yeah. And then you get above the blue and you're ultraviolet, above blue. And then we go X-ray, and then we go gamma ray. It's all the same thing, just on a continuum.
Right. Yeah. I mean, we've seen those scales, right? Those graphics. So it's sort of in line with tuning forks is sound healing. So I can say in massage therapy, this has been around, but it's growing where you deliver sound during a massage, let's say, or in conjunction to a massage, and they can use things like crystal bowls to create them. You can be in water while it's happening. Like there's all kinds of variations of these, what I would consider mostly soothing.
Absolutely. Again, getting down to quantum level, everything vibrates. Everything vibrates. We are atoms that vibrate, and that vibration is at a certain frequency, a certain hertz value. And that's what we're talking about.
One of the things that have been around for a bit now that is very popular is this electromagnetic field therapy, right? This PEMF. Like, isn't that the countermeasure in the Matrix? Like, isn't that the
I love it. I have a PEMF pad that I go on 2, 3, 4 times a week, full body. It's pulsed electromagnetic frequencies. And then it depends. You can set it.
Do you put your phone on it? What happens? Does it fry your phone?
No, it doesn't fry my phone. I'm just immersed in this pulse, and it can be for energy. It can be for sleep. It can be for inflammation, pain, whatever, and it's this great concept. And it's, again, a therapy that's gaining in popularity and can be done in your office for cash.
Depending on your state, your CA could do it.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. For cash. These are services that a lot of people are adding to their office. You may, more commonly, like we said, shockwave, but what about laser?
Yeah.
Have you seen the light?
Well, to me, like laser and light therapy are kind of, most of these tools do these things either in conjunction or, alternately. So they're kind of together in a sense.
Absolutely. Again, getting back to torture.
Well,
think about flashing lights, loud music, loud rock music.
Yeah.
These are all negative frequency impacts on your brain with the intent to break you down, of course. But it shows that this stuff is real. It can be good and it can be bad.
Well, that's the funny part, right? Because everything has an effect, but is it the one that you're looking for or want? So, because even in massage now, light and laser therapies are being utilized a lot more, and they have a very similar clinical outcome, or let's say the FDA clearance for some of these tools have similar clinical outcomes as massage. So to me, they're very complementary in how if you use them correctly.
Absolutely. Let's even go further. D. Palmer, the founder of chiropractic, what was his discipline?
Did you ask him when you talked to him?
I did. And he said to me, son.
Yeah. No, Dad.
Son, he said he was a magnetic healer.
Right. Yeah.
He used the concept of frequency and vibration and electromagnetic concepts before he practiced chiropractic. He was a magnetic healer. So this is not new stuff.
No. Some of it might be new to you out there, but it's not all new stuff. But certainly how it's delivered and the tools and devices, those are evolving and becoming new. And with all the AI stuff you can build into it now, it's almost like dummy proof in a sense.
Yeah, the quantum leap in research. It really is. We're going to keep throwing that out because it's really true that now all of a sudden you can look up and say, okay, I want to use frequency therapy in my office. Go online, find out the good, the bad, and the ugly of all the frequency therapies. Like we said, there are things that may not be so common, but I'll tell you what is common in your office. Patient walks into your office.
I hope that's common.
I hope that's common, right? They're already into sight, sound, and touch. Every one of them is sending a signal to their brain. Is it the signal you want to send? So if they walk into your office and you don't control, for example, the music in your office, you just have a radio on playing all the news, and then one way or another, there's going to be somebody unhappy with the news. And they're sitting there getting all riled up because of what they're hearing, and not to mention other things they may be feeling through sight and touch. You're controlling that patient's mind, their environment. And this concept of feeding back to the brain is also a new therapy out there. How many people are doing all this biofeedback, neurofeedback trainings where they put a little cap on the patient and they show them pictures and they see how the body responds to that? And then they try and, through biofeedback, try and get them to control all the negative vibes. It's always with the negative vibes, right?
Yeah, exactly. Well, he's staring at me when he's saying that. I don't know why, but okay.
There are those people out there who will know who I'm quoting when I say that, and I'm going to leave that out there as a question.
Oh, okay.
Well, always with the negative vibes.
I feel like I know that from like a movie or something like that.
Yeah,
okay.
it's an old movie, yeah. But I mean, they do that. So biofeedback is an emergent technology that people are putting in their practice and charging cash for and getting good results with.
So you brought it up. That's a good, to me as the biller and stuff like that, I think about the financial side of it, right? Because when you're talking about these services, I'm looking at this list, we're talking about it. I can catalog pretty confidently how little, if any, insurance reimbursement there is for any of this stuff. That doesn't make it a negative, hopefully. It actually, to me, it can create this revenue stream that, you could delegate to a trained chiropractic assistant.
All of these, for the most part.
I mean, we've talked about, sort of the clinical positivity of it all, but the financial positivity of it all.
Exactly.
Right?
And let's face it, finding another way to bill an insurance company is never going to get you where you need to be, because they'll find a way to either say no or not pay you enough to do it. So everything we talked about here, for the most part, is a self-pay service that can expand your practice as well as expand your ability to help your patients. Look at it like supportive therapies. We're not replacing the adjustment. Everything we talked about here will work exponentially better with an adjustment. I can't even tell you how much more effective this stuff is with just an adjustment. It's not the be-all, end-all. It is supportive too. So when we look at these therapies, when we talk about things like shockwave and ultrasound, and we talk about PEMF and red light therapy and infrared therapy and ultraviolet therapy, and we talk about lasers, and we talked about sound energies and vibrational energies, all of these things help.
Right. But it also brings in the need for clarity on what they do, how they help, and how you're going to convey that to your patient. Because some of these, we know the patient isn't going to feel anything at the time of the service being applied, right? They might hear something, a fan, or they might see, a light, somewhere in the room, but
see the light.
But they're going to say to themselves, okay, well, this person did this for like 5 or 10 minutes and I didn't feel anything, and I'm paying them money. See what I mean?
Well, it comes out to be chiropractic today. If you're running a self-pay practice, which a lot of people think are easier than insurance practice, and we've talked about this on other podcasts, it's not easier. It's just different. And the difference is education, education, education. You have to make your patients understand why they're coming to you and why they're paying for a service that maybe they either don't want to pay for or might even have partially paid for under a different scenario. So, yes, educate, educate, educate. We can't tell you everything you need to know about the frequency therapies out there because there's just a ton of them. But we can tell you that they are out there, they're effective, and they can make your patients better, faster, and increase your revenue stream. All it's where's the downside of this?
That's what I'm waiting for. Where's the downside of this, Mr. Positivity over here?
It's the right vibe.
Listen. First of all, I'm not saying you're wrong, but there's always those negative Nellies out there that are going to be like, well, that sounds great and everything, but where I practice, it's unique and it's different and they're not going to pay for it.
And hopefully those aren't your patients anymore.
Yeah.
You are in control of your practice. You decide what kind of patients come into your office. And whether you do it consciously or unconsciously, it's dictated by how you do what you do and why you do what you do. And those that are simpatico with that mindset will refer others of the same mindset into your practice. But if I had a patient who came in looking for kinesiology and I wasn't a kinesiologist when I practiced, I am not going to satisfy this patient. So they're going to leave me. I would rather say, no, I don't do kinesiology, but I have a good friend who does. And I'm going to send you to that person. They're happy with me. They're happy with that doctor. But I will not get that person sending me another kinesiology patient. They're going to send them to the person I sent them to. So I dictate the practice I want. I'm in control of my practice.
When I look at this list of frequency therapies and all the different types, I say some of these resonate with me better than others. But it reminds me of the old Parker saying, you say, well, you can't sell what you don't own. So if I'm looking at some of these, I'm like, well, I probably would never use that in my practice because, it doesn't, again, I hate to use the word resonate with me, but it doesn't. Some things do, some things don't. So if you're coming at it just from let me increase my revenue standpoint, I think that's going to be a mistake.
It'll bomb.
Yeah.
It'll bomb. But the list is so long and the therapies are so broad, and some of them you are already using in one way or another. Just find one that works for you. Find a 2 or 3 that works for you. But the good thing is that when you own it, like you just said, when you own it and the patients know you own it, when you ask them to participate with that therapy and pay for it, it's all good. People are out there killing it with things like shockwave and
laser,
lasers and red light and all of these different therapies, but they're not doing it and succeeding in it unless they believe in it, like you said.
Do you think we've enlightened anyone today?
I'm going to leave you with this one thought.
Okay.
All hurts are not bad.
Wow.
I waited this whole podcast just to say that.
Gosh. Wow.
Oh, it's better than you only hurts the one you love, right?
On our next episode of Dad Jokes. Oh my gosh. I love it. Anyway, well, thank you for tuning into another episode of All Things Chiropractic. I'm Paul Andrews.
And I'm Dr. Mark Davini. Thank you.
Thanks for listening to All Things Chiropractic. We'd love to hear from you. Visit allthingschiropractic.com with comments, episode ideas, or questions. Or connect with us on Facebook and Instagram at All Things Chiropractic Podcast. Be sure to join Dr. Mark Davini and Paul Andrews next time for another episode of All Things Chiropractic.